Hi members of the pack, Persegan here and welcome to a new League of Legends video. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts about the meta, like what is the meta, what is the purpose of the meta, and what happens when you break the meta. Let's begin! So first of all, what is the meta? Well, in League of Legends, the meta is defined as the most efficient way to play the game. It consists on a set of rules, like positions, champions that go to those positions, and items that are built on those champions, that in theory help you win. There's a logic behind the meta. I mean, the meta was not created randomly, but there's actually a logic. And, well, it's conformed by two major rules. The first rule is the gold distribution rule. So, the map of Summoner's Rift can generate gold, because minions can generate gold, and minions in the jungle generate gold. So, the objective of the meta, the first objective, is to try and get the most possible amount of gold. So, first of all, you send one person to each lane in order to receive the gold that lane can generate, and then you put one person in the jungle in order to receive the gold that the minions in the jungle can generate. Now, because the teams are of 5 people, there are 2 persons that go to the bot lane. We'll be talking about why these 2 people go to the bot lane and not to any other lane later on, but one of the reasons is because it's the nearest lane to Drake. The second rule is the efficiency in the position. Now, each lane has some characteristics that make it different from other lanes, and the champions that the meta says can go to those lanes will fit in them better most of the times. Like, for instance, top lane is the longest lane. So if you get ganked, you're going to be having to walk a lot until you get under your tower. That's why most of the top laners are a little bit tankier or ranged safer. I mean, Timo, for instance, is a pretty safe top laner. He's not tanky, but it's pretty safe because he can ward with the shrooms. Shyvana and Garen are both tanky and have mobility. Same happens with Shen, same happens with Renekton. Nasus has tankiness in general, and it's pretty safe because he has lifesteal in the passive, etc, etc. In mid lane, well, mid lane is the safest lane of them all because it's the shortest lane, and it's also the shortest lane to the enemy nexus, and it's a lane that has access to both top and bot. So this is actually the lane that has been receiving most changes during the changes of the meta. At the beginning, AD carries were the ones that went to the mid lane because, being the safest lane, it was the best position for them to farm until they transitioned into the damage dealers, the important damage dealers they become in late game. The problem is that other champions with huge burst and very good wave clearing started outshining the AD carries because they could kill them very easily and they could clear the waves very easily and push whenever they wanted. Also, because they had huge burst, they were really good gankers and roamers, and because mid lane has access to both top lane and bottom lane, well, they could roam better. But the figure of the AD carry is an important figure, and having a team without an AD carry, well, it's not that good. So the creators of the meta thought, well, what can we do with the AD carry then? And they sent it to the second safest lane, which is the bottom lane. And it's the second safest lane because there are 2 people. Now, these 2 people could go to top lane, but then there would be less people near Drake, which is an important lane during laning phase. So that's why the 2 people go to bottom lane. And also, the first person that goes to the bottom lane is the AD carry, but the second one is a support, who in theory doesn't need gold, and is not going to take any gold from the AD carry, because the AD carry needs money in order to transition into the late game damage dealer. So you see, this is the logic behind the meta. Oh yeah, I forgot, in the jungle, there's normally people that have damage mitigation tools, like shields or lifesteal in Need Sustain, have good clear, which normally means area of effect damage, and have good crowd control in order to help the lanes. So that's the logic behind the meta. Now, what is the purpose of the meta? Why does it exist? Well, League of Legends is a teamwork game, but there are no teams, and that's a huge problem of League of Legends. I'm probably gonna do a video only talking about that subject. But long story short, that's the source of a huge number of problems, like the fame of having a toxic community League of Legends has, the rage, the getting on tilt, because a team normally is formed by 5 people that have agreed to work together, and they will share ideas and try to work their way through to achieve an objective. The problem with League of Legends is that you get paired with other random 4 people you know nothing about. And if you had to create a team in order to play League of Legends, maybe you wouldn't take those people because you don't like them. So, where there should be a team, there are 5 different people, all of them with their own beliefs, their own strategies, their own ideas about the game, and well, it's very common for people to argue over different ideas, over having different ideas. So the meta takes the function of the leader and acts as a guide. It's like a standard strategy that if everyone follows, there are no troubles. Now this is possible because the meta is created by the authorities of League of Legends, which would be the professional players. So whatever the professional players do, it's added into the meta, because the professional players are the ones that in theory know better how to play this game. So that's the purpose of the meta. And what happens if you break the meta? Let's talk about breaking the meta. Well, oftenly when you break the meta, people rage. Why? Well, it may be due to a lot of different reasons, but I have come up with two major reasons. The first thought that crosses people's minds when you break the meta is, if the meta is the most efficient way to play the game, if you don't follow the meta, we are going to lose, and because you are the one not following, we're going to lose because of you. So they try to avoid it, and they get mad, because people normally don't want to lose. The second thought is, if I'm not breaking the meta, why should you do it? I mean, I could be breaking the meta, but I'm not doing it for the sake of the team. What makes you so special that you can break the meta? The second thought is less common than the first one, but I've encountered it quite a few times. So the big question, is it bad breaking the meta? Well, theoretically, the meta helps in winning games, because if two teams of equal skill, one following the meta and the other one not following, face each other, in theory the team that follows the meta will win. But there's a long way from theory to practice, because first of all, skill is a very unreliable factor. It's not something you can quantify, like my skill level is over 9,000. No. And skill is not actually what should be measured, but how are you going to do in that game? How are you going to perform in that game? And there are a lot of factors that can make that vary, like your mood, the hours you slept, if you're on tilt or not, the attitude your partners had during the champion selection screen. Well, there are just too many factors. Also, there's a misconception of the meta working as X champs go to Y positions. Like for instance, if someone in the LCS takes Anitop, then Anitop is in the meta. Well, it doesn't work that way, because when someone in the LCS takes Anitop, for instance, you have to look at the enemy team composition, and you have to look at the Ani team composition, and also how that player uses Anitop, because some characters may be good against certain matchups and may be used with certain intentions, but in other matchups they may not be that good. Also, being able to follow the meta doesn't make you good in the game, but just good at following the meta. Now, why do I say that? Because I've encountered quite a few number of people that are good at following the meta, but whenever they face a situation that is not in the meta, they don't know what to do, and they perform a lot worse, and that's bad. You as a player in League of Legends need to be adaptable. You need to be able to adapt to different situations. So to a certain degree, I actually encourage you to break the meta, because it will help you on getting better understanding of the game, and it will make you more adaptable to different situations. Also, funny enough, in some cases breaking the meta will make you win more easily, because people just don't know how to deal with teams that break the meta. This happens more in low levels and low elos though. So if you're like Diamond, well, I don't know why you're even watching this video. So in conclusion, go play Chimera the carry. You'll have fun.